Hi ho campers, how you doing? This is Sharon Combs and this is Knowledge or Nonsense. And this is just a short session that we have. Um, this is just a short session that we have from Tuesday through Saturday, where we speak with subject matter experts within the field of sterilization. And then we actually offer different things to the general public so that some of the tools that we think about every day are some of the skill set and the body of knowledge that we're able to use to minimize infection and to make safer decisions in our comings and goings as it relates to cross contamination and things of that sort. Definitely with COVID-19, we want to be able to share some of that insight with the public too. And so tonight I have Mr. Nasir Evans with us. He's a CRCST, a CIS, and a CHL, triple crown. He's also an educator, enthusiast as it relates to sterile processing, and he's an entrepreneur. One of the things I noticed years ago with him was he walks it. He investigates different things, he tries different methods, but he walks it. And there are so many things that he does that maybe people are not even aware of. He doesn't do it for that. But I wanted to bring that and say, hey, listen, here's someone who's doing it day in and day out. I think you have over 17 years of experience in sterilization. Is that correct?
I do.
Yeah,
doesn't seem like it goes fast, but yeah, I do.
Yeah, over 17 years. Here's the thing, guys, he has over 80,000 views on YouTube. And that's no easy feat, especially within the world of sterile processing. Don't slip on that. He has over 80,000 YouTube views. And so I'll put up a couple of links as we go. But Nasir, thank you so much for joining us today. Tonight, we're going to talk about fear, mindset, and how we navigate some of the things, some of the rumblings that maybe we're hearing within our field. And towards the end, we'll transfer that to someone else. So what are some of the things you do to help your mindset continue to move forward, even though you may be looking at obstacles and how we approach things on maybe something you've tried to do, but you may have had some obstacles or some failures, what people call failures. What are some of the things you do with your mindset so that failure is not a final end?
Well, for one, I want to say thank you for having me tonight. I really appreciate being here. I'm really excited tonight, so thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. But to get onto the question, I think for me, when I come into things of what you may call failure or something like that, it's really about perseverance and your purpose and what your goals are. Many times we take on goals or we take on initiatives, and we may not have all the answers and all the issues worked out up front. But the biggest thing is just to keep moving forward, whether that's whether you're making huge strides or you're moving inch by inch. Even slow motion is motion forward. So you always have to keep persevering.
I love that. I spoke while you were speaking, but what he said was even slow motion is motion forward. And so I like that. I see Lawayne has asked, what motivates you to sustain in this field, like in sterilization? What motivates in CS and central sterile processing?
One of the things I love about central processing is it's constantly changing, right? There's always new things going on. There's always new information coming out. There's always new instrumentation, new processes. And I like to learn. I'm a continuous learner. So a big thing for me is just always being challenged and always trying to meet those challenges head on. So sterilization for me has been about purpose and meeting those challenges that we face.
All right. I definitely wanted to ask you, just doing my research about you, you had mentioned in one of your YouTube teachings about being an ultra professional. So if we can just, like, I know we're talking and we only have a short amount of time, but we work in the field where sometimes people shy away from growing in the field because it's like, I don't want that responsibility, or someone may fuss at me. Like, you mentioned being an ultra professional. Can you tell me, like, why you are a promoter of people First, let us know what an ultra professional is. And then why do you promote that? Like, why is that something you promote in the field? Why are you encouraging your fellow SPD, like techs, liaisons, coordinators, educators? Why are you encouraging us to be this ultra professional?
Because in our field, different from many other industries, the end goal of our field is patience. You know, so what they expect is for us to be the ultimate professional, and that means constantly being up on what's going on in the field, in and around the field. Again, you know, your instrumentation, your policies, and things like that. And in that growing, it's important that you stay reaching out to other well-established technicians or facilities, as well as you know, just I kind of missed my point, but you know, being the ultimate professional is basically just staying ahead of the game, being on your game at all times. You know, showing up when you have to show up, and staying abreast of the information that's constantly changing from day to day, and being there for one another, whether that's your peers or whether that's your, you know, your leadership or people in other department, because your expertise is invaluable to what we do on a daily basis. So that's kind of what I mean by ultimate professional. I got a little wordy, but that's what I mean by ultimate professional.
Hey, one of the things you just said before, because then we're going to take a break, and I'll come back and I'll say a little more about you. And I know there's been magazines, you have like a series, like little, and not even little, but instructional series for people who want to grow. But you mentioned being there for one another, being there for each other. So right now, you know, we have this pandemic, and, you know, we're in a field that's backed by science, but science has to review things in order to back something. And so this is unprecedented. We haven't had this before. So the science isn't actually in place just yet. There is science that we can draw from, but the science regarding specifically COVID is coming kind of every day. And so with that, there's like some fear. We've had some people, because there are no elective surgeries in some areas, people have been furloughed, contracts have been canceled. What are some ways, like, that you say we can be there for one another? How, like, what are some things that we can do, like, for one another? Because it can't just be all grumbling. It can't just be all blame culture.
So for one, I want to say, you know, I want to send a shout out of compassion and care to those who have really been affected by the COVID pandemic, who have been furloughed or released from positions. I speak to a lot of travelers, and I'm in a lot of forums where many of the travelers had to turn around and come back home because their positions were no longer available due to this. So in situations like that, what I'll say is reach out to reach out to the agencies around you. You know, your unemployment agencies, and other people in the know, because you aren't alone. There are a lot of people going through this. Another thing, what I want you to say, what I want to say is, while you have this time, while we're in this moment of downtime and uncertainty and indecision, it's a great time to kind of brush up on some of the skills that you'll need moving forward. So things like your decontamination procedures and your techniques. Today, those are extremely, extremely important, dealing with the things that we're dealing with the COVID-19. And one thing that I want to mention is, I want the sterilization professionals out there to know that we are uniquely qualified to deal with this situation. Once it gets to us, once it gets to our department, we are uniquely qualified to deal with any pathogens that come through our department. So as long as you're following the policies and the processes that we've already been following for years now, although this is a new strain of things, I want you to hold fast to what you've been doing, and rest assured that you have the ability to deal with this situation.
I love that. I love that. Sterile processing for so long, it's like invisible. You know, a lot of times the only time sterile processing gets attention is if something doesn't go right. You know, they say no one knows what sterile processing is until something doesn't go right. But you're right, we are uniquely qualified. Like the light is here. We are the subject matter experts in this thing. So
in this thing right now, it's us.
In this thing, here it is. This is the moment. And so I like that you're encouraging people in that and saying, hey, you are uniquely qualified in this. You don't even have to take on the panic that someone else may take on, because you've been taking these precautions. You've been learning about pathogens. You've been learning about cross-contamination. Like, you've been doing this.
Absolutely.
You know?
We do it on absolutely.
I love that. I love that, because it's like now the light is on this very valued service that only a few people knew was going on. But now the light is on, and it's okay to let the light be on. You know, I'm not saying we rejoice in COVID, but the light is on. Like, where people are panicked, like, what do we do? There is a group of individuals with a unique skill set. What the movie Liam Neeson said, I've gathered a particular set of skills. You know, here we are with this particular set of skills to help people and to push back the panic and the paranoia and saying, look, there are things you can do to actually minimize this here. So I appreciate that. Before, we're going to take a brief break, and doing this, it'd probably be about 30 seconds or whatnot. No, it actually may be about 48 seconds, but we're going to take just a moment. I definitely want to pay some sponsors. When we come back, we'll have more with Nasir Evans. I'm going to ask him some questions about how he continued to move forward, not even just in sterile processing, but also in setting himself up for success outside of sterile processing as it relates, but still connected to sterile processing. For some of our travelers out there, for some of the travelers, the technicians, you know, it's a huge field, and everyone may not become a director, but you can still set yourself up for legacy and make sure you're taken care of. So when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about that. If you guys have any questions for Nasir, please put them in the comment box. I will put them up there and he'll answer it. He's here for you. All right, guys, we are back with Nasir Evans. Nasir hails from Philadelphia. He's up in the east. He's up on the East Coast area. So I wanted to ask questions. Definitely, we wanted to talk to the majority of sterile processing individuals before we have like a hot seat question and send some things out for the public. But you had mentioned, we talked about the fear and we talked about the mindset. As you were coming up in the sterile processing field, I'm sure you had more than enough opportunities to either plateau or not push yourself to get this triple crown. Like, you have the triple crown, you have these certifications. What are some things, like, what would you say to somebody who say like they want to get it, but they haven't really put anything in place to get it? Y'all don't be mad out there at me, you know, we just want to keep it real. Like, every year, New Year's, you're like, I'm gonna get my CHL. And maybe we're about 7 years from that now. So what are some real-time tips that can help somebody?
For one thing is we have to share those achievements with each other. A lot of times when we share those achievements and we know those around us have found education and position and confidence in their certifications, we also look for that. One thing I would say is work with your peers to find out what certifications they may have. But one thing about the certifications is what I found is the reason I needed my certifications is because I found that it gives you credibility. So the rooms that I wanted to speak in the meetings and different areas of change and collaboration with other departments and things like that, when you want to sit in on those meetings and sit in on those discussions, your certifications give you a level of credibility to help you move on through your career. So for me, it was definitely just giving myself credibility and seeking the education and knowledge that I needed to speak in these places.
Okay, excellent. I do see another question from Luane. Lila actually asked a question about the downtime, which you kind of had alluded to. But Luane, this is going to be the hot seat question. So the hot seat question is a question you didn't know I was going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you, and you have like 60 seconds to 120 seconds, 1 to 2 minutes to kind of answer. So I'm going to ask you the question, and then I'm going to tell people about this link, and then I'm going to come back to you so you can answer the question. I'm going to give you about 45 seconds to kind of think of a response. All right. And here's the question. SPD many years ago was an acronym for special people downstairs. We've also heard it said stupid people downstairs. And we are truly a special people, but not in the way that was meant to be like a negative connotation or to try to, communicate contempt. What would you say to the people in our field at each level, whether you're a millennial or whether you're a baby boomer and you've been in for some years? What would you say to people to help them not be offended, like not be caught up on somebody else's opinion that's not validated? What would you say to people to help us to change that stigma? Because we are uniquely qualified for this time. So you have a few seconds, think about your answer. What would you say? Because they're like stupid people downstairs, and you can't let that make you endanger a patient. So what do you think people can do about that? And for those of you listening, I put a link, CS Assist has put a link inside the comments that will take you to Nasir's video, when he talks about why you should view a surgery. And so I do believe everyone in SPD should go and view a surgery.
Absolutely.
Please go view a surgery. That's very helpful. So how do you think we respond, and how do you think we move forward, like free from that negative special people, stupid people, free from that? How do we even just separate that all together? Like it's null and void.
Well, everyone has a role to play, right? And everyone in our facilities know that it's a synchronized effort. The thing is, hold on, I lost my track.
That's okay. Because you have to be.
I'm sorry. Ask the question. Ask the end of the question one more time, please.
How do we move forward away from that stigma? Because there are some people in the field who, even though they know they're not stupid people downstairs, they've given up. They've settled kind of from where they are, and they withhold information like we're so much more. So how do you get people to come away from that stigma?
Well, again, I'm sorry, I was saying everyone has a role to play, and our role that we play is so uniquely critical to the safety of our patients, visitors, and staff that come to the hospitals, that you have to take your position seriously. It doesn't matter what people are doing around you. Maybe your role isn't their role. Maybe they're okay with where they are. But if you feel within yourself that you have a purpose, which we all do, but if you feel that this is your purpose and you have the knowledge and the confidence and the expertise, you have the obligation to share it with your friends, with your family, with your constituents. In that way, that's how we grow, right? Because just people knowing about us inside our hospitals doesn't help. We have to take what we do to the public. And right now is a wonderful time for us to expose our deep knowledge of infection control to everyone around us, not just the people that we work with, but people in the public as well.
All right, excellent. Hey, we're coming toward the end of our time. I'm going to stop this right at 20 minutes tonight. Nasir, talk to the folks. Why should we view a surgery? Like, how will that impact us? Why should we view a surgery? If we're in SPD, Why should we go ahead and speak to somebody to be able to view a procedure?
So what I found is over time, a lot of technicians begin to fall back from some of their initiatives. Not that they're not doing it, but they're not taking the extra initiative, the extra step to check each and everything. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm saying we don't do it excessively sometimes. And we forget how important this role is because we're separated. You know, the OR is upstairs or downstairs or something like that. So we get separated from the outcome of our roles, right? An amazing thing is to go up to the OR and view an actual surgery with the patient on, on the OR table under anesthesia, waiting for everybody to play their role, to do their role. And when you look across the room and see the instrumentation that yourself or your coworkers have taken the time to inspect and sterilize, when you see them being used on that patient, you get to understand exactly how important you are to this field. You are extremely important to this field. And sometimes it's not until you get up there in that room and it becomes serious on a whole different level. You begin to understand why sometimes when the nurses call, they're upset, or when you call up there, someone's upset or irritated. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. But once the veil is lifted and we're able to see what others are doing, sometimes we're able to
and like have a better
understanding. We're able to put ourselves in a place where we can understand what goes on, and then help to benefit the situation as much as possible. So viewing a surgery is, to me, the best thing that anyone in the sterilization capacity or position could do. Actually, anyone in your hospital would do well seeing a surgery.
I love that, because the bottom line is, like, people are depending on us. We're crucial to patient safety. We're crucial to infection control, and people are depending on us, and we don't want to be cavalier with it. Like you said, sometimes we may check the box, but we're not doing the extra. We're not anticipating needs, and we may take something personal. And I know it's hard. No one wants to be yelled at or fussed at or screamed at, but sometimes as we get more understanding, it becomes easier. We're not perfect in it, but it becomes easier not to take it as personal, or to have a conversation after the problem is solved. And Absolutely. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for everything that you do. I want to thank you for making videos years ago, before anyone was considering making videos. I want to thank you for the pride that you take in this field and in the work you do in this field. Before there was any other SPD magazine, you were already saying, hey, no, we need this magazine. We are Central Nation. We are this crucial component of healthcare. We are the heart of the hospital. You know what I'm saying? We're an integral part. We're not like an outlier. We're an integral part. And long before anyone else was looking at it, or before COVID caused things to have an eye on us, you were already doing the work. And so I want to give you kudos. I want to salute you. There are so many people who are experiencing the benefit of things that you implemented, and they don't even know that it was born of you, but I do. And I want to say thank you for that. Kudos for that. Please keep continuing to do what you do. Please keep continuing to have love for everybody in the field. Every time I communicate with you, I know that there are no big I's and little U's. Like you're about that. And I honor that about you, man. I honor that about you. So
I appreciate that so much.
You know, you keep doing your thing. I know we have to go. We're 22 minutes. I thank everybody who stayed with us. You guys feel free to share this video. Nasir Evans, please go find him on YouTube. The link is in the page. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put another link up before we leave. I must give thanks to CS Assist for sponsoring and just opening this platform so that those of us in this field can have a place where we can have a nuts and bolts discussion, whether it's about sterilization, N95, about bullying or whatever within the field that we work in, you know, whatever it's about, that we can have these nuts and bolts conversations, and we can say it in such a way that the public is able to pull something from it. You know, you have to keep moving, whether you have a cheering squad or not. Slow motion is still motion. Man,
Absolutely.
you better say that thing. I love that. So I do want to give you kudos. I'm going to put your link in the comments. Is there anything you want to say before I go and show this last commercial and we sign off?
Just one thing. You guys are wonderful. You have a huge role to play, and I'm very happy to be a part of what we do every day, day in and day out. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Please share the video. If you have any questions, send them to info@UCDI Leadership. If there's a hot seat question that you want to ask to see what the SME subject matter experts have to say when they are put on the spot, please send those as well, or you can put them in the comments. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday night. You guys have a great one, and we'll speak with you later.